Hi. I know that I haven't made a video in over a year, but since I have like 2 subscribers that like aren't even active, I don't think that they're really gonna care. But I do hope that this video helps people understand, for lack of any clearer terminology. But yeah, I just got a note on an old selfie on Instagram, from a Tourette's awareness page. And I thought that maybe I should try to talk to people on what Tourette's is, what Tourette's means. Basically, I have Tourette's, in case that wasn't clear. I don't know if I directly said it yet, but yeah. Basically what Tourette syndrome entails, just on the surface, because there's this really helpful picture that's like an iceberg, and on the surface there's motor tics and vocal tics. A motor tic is, I have one in my hands, in my tongue. It used to be all of my mouth, but now it's just my tongue and sometimes my lip. In my throat. Now I'm talking about it, they're gonna flare up real bad. And vocal tic. Yeah. I have one in my nose too, because you just saw that. With the tics, some people don't know that they're happening. For instance, with my vocal tics, I won't notice until someone points it out to me, or until I see it on video. But I'll start skipping that's a pretty extreme example, but that's just what happens. Other people, they notice theirs. For instance, I notice my my kind of like nasal cough, I call it. I notice that sometimes, but not always. I tend to notice it only when it gets really bad. But below the surface, the rest of the iceberg usually encompasses a learning disability, most commonly ADD or ADHD, dysgraphia a lot of times. A lot of people I've met who have Tourette's also have depression, clinical depression, because they just kind of, after a while, anxiety issues, panic issues, I've never met someone who has Tourette's that doesn't have OCD to an extent. For instance, I have really bad, I can't even think about it, I hate it so much, and I really don't like telling people about it, because then they tend to exploit it, but this is a video, so what's gonna happen? I'm just gonna give a general overview. It involves eyelashes, fingers, toes, and belly buttons. Really bad with belly buttons, and it's all the same thing. Basically, that's what Tourette's is, just an overview. It gets really specific. There are people who have it really severely. The really famous cases are actually the rarest. I've met dozens, if not over 100 people who have Tourette syndrome, and I've never met a single person who has a vocal tic that's an actual word. I've heard of people, I've seen videos of people who do have Tourette's, that's an actual word. I've heard of a woman in England who says biscuit, just middle of a sentence. She could be just like biscuit, and she'll just be saying like biscuit, biscuit, just in the middle of a sentence. it doesn't have to make sense. She doesn't know what caused it. No one else knows what caused it. It just biscuit. But the ones with words, let alone curse words, cursing is very, very rare. I've only actually heard of two cases, two legitimate cases where that was a thing, and both were on a documentary. One was a boy who was in about 5th grade, I think, who would curse, and I assume it's because part of him knew that he shouldn't do it. Even people who have kind of grown out of that, like, whole thing, like, where you curse under your breath and, like, you look around to see if anyone heard, people who have grown out of that, still part of their brain registers, like, hearing curse words as, something that's wrong, or something that's, like, I don't want to say wrong, but just, like, kind of playfully wrong, naughty, I guess the word is. And he would, when he was talking, and he said how someone, at his school had shown him a gesture, which was really rude. He said, and, I just watched the video again, I can't remember a lot of it. He said that someone had shown him, like, this really sexual gesture, and he couldn't stop doing it, and people thought it was hilarious. A lot of times, people with Tourette's are exploited for it if it is that serious. It's treated as a joke for the entertainment of other people, because obviously a disability is hilarious. And the only other case I've heard of anyone cursing as a tic was another woman who was in the UK. She would say things that were inappropriate to that specific situation. So she would just walk. She was black. This woman who had this specific case of Tourette's. I assume she's alive. She is black. And it just had a clip of her walking through the mall, and every time she passed someone, she would say something that was inappropriate to that specific situation. Like, she was spouting out the N-word at a group of black women, even though she was black. It really wouldn't have made sense to be, like, slinging a slur at something that you would apply to. All slurs are bad, but, like, as far as, like, the mechanisms of slurs go, like, that doesn't make sense, obviously. She walked by, I think the video, like, she like, walked by, like, some nuns or something, and she, like, was just shouting Lucifer. And I'm sorry, my camera's doing something weird. My teeth are not this yellow. I'm sorry. That's really embarrassing. That's really embarrassing. But yeah, those are the most rare and the most awful. I have to assume it's the most awful to live with. And it's hard. A lot of times it's very hard to go with. Like, for instance, with me, my tics just popped up, no reason, in about 4th grade. And it was and eventually it hardened into and it never stopped. People thought I was doing it for attention. They didn't know why I wasn't stopping. They thought, people were telling me that, like, oh, I just need, like, positive visualization of living without it. People would tell me to stop all the time. They wouldn't believe me when I wouldn't, and then people didn't believe me when I said I had Tourette's, and that's why I do think representation is very important. I cannot believe I've been talking for almost 10 minutes and have to wrap up soon, but, long story short, I hope this could have helped someone out there, maybe. Tourette's isn't easy, but it's manageable. Not everyone needs medication, but medication definitely helps. We don't really know what causes Tourette's for sure, and we don't know how to treat it, so a lot of random stuff may be given, so I would definitely make sure that you have a reliable source to base on, and always stay safe when you're using medications. So, that's all the time I have. Sorry, bye.